Domination.
Hey, what's up, Forum? It's Gorilla Hands, and I'm bringing you another gameplay commentary. It's a game of Domination on Havana, and today I actually wanted to focus on the build that I'm utilizing in this gameplay. It's a build that I like to pull out whenever I'm playing a strong team, or just a group of guys that are really good at Domination. I actually joined this lobby mid-session the game before, and we were losing by a pretty sizable margin, so we lost that first game, but I knew, going into this game, if we're going to win, I'd have to pull out this build and execute the strategy that I like to utilize if we were going to win this game. The primary weapon I use is the FAMAS with dual mags. The dual mags give me more ammo, and the faster reload speed allows me to handle multiple engagements in a short period of time. And the secondary varies depending on how the enemy team's playing. It's either a Makarov with extended mags, which I just use to switch to quickly if I run out of ammo, or the LOL rocket launcher, which is used to take out enemy air support, specifically spy plane and counter spy plane. The perks that I'm using are Hardline, Sleight of Hand Pro, and Hacker. Hardline is just so I can keep getting kill streaks faster than I normally would. Sleight of Hand Pro obviously is so I can reload quickly and aim down sights faster. I don't do a whole lot of firing from the hip with assault rifles, unless it's really close combat. And Hacker obviously is if somebody's got claymores, and it helps me see where defensive positions are. So it's a good build, a good run and gun build, or a good build all around actually in a lot of different situations. And actually the key that I find whenever I'm playing solo against an enemy team is tactical insertions. They work really well, especially on a map like Havana. A map like Havana, the B flag is really pivotal to do well. If a team grabs B and they know what they're doing, they can set up a strong defensive perimeter in the building that I'm located in, and then the building across the street. It's a really great. Those are two really great Overwatch positions, and if a team ends up getting those positions set up and ready, it's almost impossible to retake the B flag. So I knew in order to prevent them from grabbing B after we initially grabbed the B flag was to set up a tactical position or a tactical insert in one of those buildings, just so when I die I'm already right back in the action. And you can kind of see from this gameplay it really pays off. So tactical insertions are actually pretty key whenever you're playing solo. It's you still need help from your team to maybe take other flags, but it helps a lot whenever you're playing this game. Well, specifically Domination. Tactical insertions don't work very well in games like TDM, just because, at least for me, just because I don't feel the need to control my spawn when playing that game mode. But games like Domination, Capture the Flag, and Demolition, tactical insertions work really well. And a couple of things you might want to keep in mind whenever you're running tactical insertions. Try to find locations that are not in high traffic areas. I know I have it kind of in a high traffic area, but I like to put it in corners above ground whenever I do that. So they're not in the normal sight line of where somebody spawns. Everybody's going to spawn street level, so it's going to be a little harder for them to see if they have Hacker. So I like to put it kind of away from high traffic areas and above sight lines or out of sight lines. And the other thing is, certain maps have kind of red animations or red lights. If you put your tactical insertion near those locations, even if somebody has Hacker, they're going to have a lot more trouble seeing it. So I found that it works really well. And the other thing to keep in mind is, if you kill somebody and within maybe the first 2 or 3 seconds, or you kill somebody 2 or 3 seconds after you lay down a tactical insertion, you might want to move it to another location. Just because you don't want to run the risk of them checking their kill cam and saying, hey, okay, I know where this guy's located, I'm going to go back there and remove it. So just a couple of little things that I like to use, or to keep in mind whenever you're using that. The equipment that I use, or the lethal and tactical equipment that I use for this build, are the stun grenades and the frag grenades. And the reason I pick stun grenades over Nova Gas and flashbangs is because stun grenades detonate when they hit the ground or they hit an object, so they technically don't have any fuse, so you can throw it a much further distance than you can the other two tactical grenades. And the other thing is they throw much faster. If I ever find that I'm being shot at, or I'm in a gunfight that I don't want to participate in, I can throw those real quickly, mess with the enemy's vision, and then escape and kind of figure out what I'm going to do to re-engage. You can't really do that with flash grenades or Nova grenades, just because they take a little longer, and in a game like COD, you have a split second to react. So those work really well. the downfall I found with concussion or stun grenades is that if you clear a room, if you're using it to check a room, if the guy's already looking at the doorway or kind of looking at your general direction, they can still shoot you. I mean, all it does is slow them down. So I don't find it as a very strong offensive weapon. It's a great recon tool, and it's great for escaping gunfights. So that's the positives I find with that. Frag grenade, the reason I picked that over Semtex is because it has the fuse, a longer fuse than Semtex, so you can throw it a longer distance, and you have the cooking ability. So if you see somebody's capturing a flag, you can cook it for a set period of time and throw it, and it'll blow up, right as it reaches the point. Versus a Semtex, where if you throw it, the guy will have a chance to, or a lot of times he has a chance to evade the Semtex. So I personally, in my experience, I find it better to utilize in Domination versus the Semtex. And also, the blast radius of the two grenades are the same, but the frag grenade's damage at the edge of the blast radius is higher, so I just think it's a slightly more effective tool for getting the job done in Domination. The kill streaks that I'm using are Counter UAV, Blackbird, and Chopper Gunner. And actually, I would have preferred to switch off the Chopper Gunner for Napalm Strike, just because the Chopper Gunner is great for keeping an enemy team pinned back. But you get shut down pretty quickly in this game, so it's not actually a very viable kill streak. And with it being a 9-kill streak, it's not something you're going to get every day, or at least all the time. The reason I'm not running UAV, I'm running Counter UAV, is because so many people, excuse me, run Ghost that it actually, for me at least, sometimes it lulls me into a false sense of security, and I think I'll know where people are spawning, and then I'll get flanked by somebody in my peripheral and get killed by someone with Ghost. So instead of using that, I use the Counter UAV, and it actually stays in the air longer than the spy plane, mostly because people tend not to shoot it down as often. So I think that's actually a pretty useful kill streak. And Blackbird, obviously, it lets you know where everybody is. I think it's the most powerful kill streak in the game, and it works really well for what I'm trying to do. If you wanted to use a high-end kill streak, I think your best bet would be Dogs, only because the enemy team can't take it out. They can hide in corners and kind of shoot it and prevent it from being killed, but it takes them out of the objective. So if you find yourself losing or you need this big push to win, I find Dogs are a pretty good kill streak to turn the tide of combat. But really, I think Centric Guns, Napalm Strikes, Counter UAV are much better bets whenever you're playing, especially against a good team. Just because, when you have those higher end kill streaks, if these guys are pretty good at slaying, you're not going to get them very often, and it kind of renders you useless, at least in the kill streak front. So lower kill streaks are actually the way I like to go whenever I feel like it's going to be a close game or it's going to be a tough game. And I guess you kind of see from the basic strategy, it's a little bit more defensive or campy than what I like to play. But in a game of Domination, when the B flag is so important, it's kind of what you have to do in order to do well. You kind of have to control that B flag, make sure they don't retake it, and if possible, you try to spawn trap them. A good, I guess, location to cut off their route to B would be that fountain that I keep getting behind. A lot of people like to run through there. And you can cut off a lot of people's routes. Finally, I realize the game's going to end, so I try to rush spawn and get a couple more kills. It doesn't work out, but you can kind of see the tactics that I like to use whenever I feel like it's going to be a tough game. So for you objective players that run claymores and motion sensors and have yet to try tactical insertions, I'd give them a try, especially if you're having a lot of trouble when you're playing solo. As you can see in this game, they really make the big difference for me defending that B flag. The final score is 45 kills, 9 deaths, 1 capture, and 11 defends. And as always, guys, take it easy.